Okay, here we go. Man, sorry about the long meeting again. Do you know what I mean? Let's actually. Sorry, hello everybody. Welcome to Luton's Deadpool podcast with me, Luton's Deadpool, and my guest today, the man, the legend, Basit Mahmood, my man. Thank you so much for joining me again. I say again because we've actually already met before, haven't we?
We did.
Please tell our audience about what happened.
Well, we met, we did an interview, and then it didn't record.
No. It was the best chat as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, we touched on some subjects that were really strong and powerful things that I think people need to hear about. But unfortunately, our conversation got cut short because of a technical failure on my end. So I'm an idiot. I've done a lot of research and prepping and planning, and ever since then, like the podcast is on 100 million times better, I promise you. So hopefully today, you know, it's all working. In fact, let me just check. I'm going to be so paranoid about this. There we go. We're still rolling. Okay, great. So let me first off ask you, tell me a little bit about Basit. I mean, I know about you. Obviously, we've talked. I don't want you to feel like this is like, you know, we're repeating ourselves, everything. But there's going to be people out there that don't know who you are, and I want them to know who you are. So please tell me a little bit about Basit.
Well, it feels weird talking in third person. Well, I was born here, raised in Luton, lived there my whole life. Went to local training school. From there, went to local sixth form colleges. Studied politics at uni for 3 years, and then came back to Luton because I was really passionate about social mobility. Obviously, the uni I went to had a lot of kids from well-off, privileged private school backgrounds, and I thought there's so many brilliant and bright and talented kids in towns like Luton who don't get the opportunities they get. And I came back, so I started to work for education charities like the Education Employers Task Force, trying to get more working class kids into top universities, top professions, and then eventually I went into journalism because I grew frustrated. I mean, obviously living in Luton, you probably know the negative headlines we got, things that were written about the town that I just didn't really recognise. Terror hotspot. Of course, we had problems with extremism, but it wasn't the whole town. The way it was being portrayed, like we were the centre of the clash of civilizations. We got a very bad rep for that. And I thought, you know what? There's a really good quote from Malcolm X. He said, "I've never just been angry about something. I've always done something about it."
I love that.
Rather than being just annoyed and frustrated, quit my job as a researcher into public policy research and went into journalism because I realised only 0.4% of journalists are Muslim, only 0.2% are black, and less than 11% are working class. It's the second most socially excluded profession in the country, and that's what motivated me to go into journalism because I thought what this is about is the battle of ideas, and if changing people's minds. And again, another Malcolm X quote, I love quoting him, was that the media.
He's your guy, isn't it?
He's my guy. So the media is the most powerful weapon on the earth. And I thought, well, rather than just being frustrated, let's get involved. I work in the media now. I still write for publications like the Metro, the Independent. I write column pieces for them, opinion pieces, and then I'm the editor of Leftfootfwd, which is a kind of centre-left political website. It's funded by trade unions and supported by Labour MPs and stuff.
Man, you are honestly absolutely smashing life at the moment. Like, I mean, I've been following you for a while. You know, obviously, I always big you up, man. To you as well. I love to tell you how much I love you.
You're the one that should be getting bigged up.
No, that's it. No, I hate it when people turn that spotlight on, shining on them, and they put it back in my face. I don't want it. All right. I'm so privileged to have someone like you have grown up in my town and to be espousing the views that you do because you inspired me to get involved. Just like how you said Malcolm X inspired you. You inspired me through your writing. I read your stuff every day. Sometimes it doesn't make me happy. I'm not going to lie. But I'm learning because of you. You teach me stuff on an almost daily basis. Like, if I'm ever like, I want to know what's going on right now and what injustices are happening and who I need to be sort of like getting angry at and wound up at. I look to you because realistically, you cannot trust most media outlets because they are trying to wind you up. They're not. It's not like they've got these problems and they're trying to get your focus onto the problems. They're creating a problem and then getting your focus onto the problem. Whereas with you, you're like, look over here. Here's something bad that's happening. Look over here. Here's another thing that's bad that's happening. Look at over here. Here's something that's good that's happening. But if we done more, we could make it even better. Like, that's what I see your workers doing. Like, what you do for our town in how you highlight the brilliance of our people, but then how underappreciated and how undervalued we are, and how we get left behind almost all the time. It's an absolute joke that, you know, I see Luton as being this treasured like ruby that people should be in awe of, but they're treating it like it's a bit of plastic tap, and that nobody should care. And to be honest, like, I mean, some of the most beautiful things have come out of Luton, including football from our team. Like, we produce brilliant football, and we excite people massively. We produce some amazing culture, and we produce incredible charities and kindness through individuals in the town who commit themselves to working hard to better the lives of certain people, whether it's disadvantaged people or it's sick people, or if it's people being abused with Islamophobia. Like, man, there's just so many things that in our town where we try and do good with, and you
don't really hear that bit, though, do you?
No, you don't hear none of that, do you?
Not in the national press. No, the sad thing is, look, I've always said Luton's a town rich. So Luton's a town with a lot of child poverty, right? We've got one of the highest child poverty rates in the country. Nearly half our children grow up in poverty. And sometimes what annoys me is that I bang on about that fact, but not all the time, but you get a minority that turn around and say to me, "Oh, is it really poverty? You sure it exists? That's not true. You know, you're bullshitting." But you know, I know people that are struggling in poverty, and it's a stigma associated with poverty that means a lot of people won't ask for help. They're not going to exactly advertise their poor, and people need to be aware of that. And they need to realise that. But it's also a town that, while at the same time it's high in poverty, simultaneously it's rich in talent.
Yeah,
and it's got so much kind of diversity. It's its strength. You've got a lot of people that are working tirelessly to give our young people a chance. And for me, that's why I went into journalism, but also why I'm involved in politics, is because, you know, these things, people are apathetic right now. So a lot of people say to me, a lot of my mates say to me, "No, I don't care, bro. I don't." It's not, you know, it's not my thing. But it's everyone's thing, because when you're complaining about your council tax going up, when your kids' uniform costs are soaring through the roof, when you've got, you know, children going hungry in the holidays on free school meals, and that's politics. And that can change people's lives. You know, 800,000 kids. You know, I'll give you an interesting stat, right? I love banging out my stats.
I love your stats. Oh my god! So, hey, people, Basit is king of stats. Fact. End of. Go.
Yeah, fact. So Jeremy Hunt gave a tax cut worth billions of pounds, right?
Yeah.
I think it was 18 billion across a number of years, but he gave tax cut to banks in his autumn statement, where he refused to give 800,000 children living in poverty free school meals. So those children are in receipt of universal credit, but they don't get free school meals. How much would that have cost? But you're willing to give a tax cut to the banks.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's ridiculous. Like, you know, and this is the kind of, what I've always said to people, an alternative is possible, but you've just got to believe that together with our collective action, if we all, like you do a lot of fundraising work, you go out there, you talk to people, and that's what it's about, bringing people together to move towards a common objective where, and there's enough to go around.
Yeah, there is.
And we've got one of the highest inequality rates in the whole of Europe and the UK. And where you're born, in the UK in particular, your postcode will determine how far you get in life, more than any other country in Europe.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to change.
Man, it's just so sad, because, like, when you say about the country that we live in, we should be incredibly proud of. We should be so proud to be living in the UK, in the modern world where we live, because technology is amazing. The way that lifestyle is at the moment, you know, people are quite free to do as and what they want mostly. The only thing that seems to be holding anybody back is finances.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that if you clear up that problem, all you do is make the country better. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to upset people by saying this, but I listen to Joe Rogan a bit. Like, I quite like Joe Rogan. Like, I listen to him, not necessarily on his healthcare advice and stuff.
I don't know too much about him.
No, but I do listen to him on some of the things that he says about social justice and, like, what people should be doing with, like, how to look after yourself in terms of exercise and stuff like that. He's quite an intelligent guy. One of the things that he says is you should judge a place by its lowest standard of citizen. Yeah. Right? So if we go out into town centre now, we're going to find people who are dishevelled and cold and hungry and on drugs that they probably using to battle the fact that they feel so down and depressed. They're probably getting into criminal activity, like getting arrested by the police. They're suffering like absolutely crazy. Now, if we was to judge the UK by the lowest standard of person, that's that person. Yeah. Would you agree? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, can't remember who said this quote. I want to be blank, but the progress of any society, the test of progress of any society is how much you add to those who have the least, rather than those who have the most, right?
Exactly the same idea. Exactly same idea, thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And I don't think, for one of the sixth largest economy in the world, child poverty is going to hit 5 million next year.
Like, how does that make any sense? There shouldn't be one child. There shouldn't even be one.
Because you know what? One of the biggest myths we believe, and I'm going to say this, like a lot of people believe, to be honest, I think the majority of people believe, and it's a myth, that people who get to the top only do it because of their own hard work and they deserve to be there.
Yeah.
And people at the bottom, they believe wrongly that they only have themselves to blame. Well, that's not true. It's called the meritocracy myth, right?
Yeah.
Basically, some people are born with a head start in life. They can rely on the bank of mum and dad to take a career break or do an unpaid internship. They go to an elite private school that unlocks doors for them. Other people who work incredibly hard will never have those opportunities, right? And that's what it's about, recognizing that, making poverty the result, and this is what a lot of conservative politicians and others do. They say people who are poor only have themselves to blame. They just need to work harder. 56% of people who are in poverty in the UK are in work poverty. They've got, 7 in 10 children who grow up in poverty have at least one parent that works.
Yeah.
And what does Rishi Sunak say? The best way to tackle child poverty is to make sure that children aren't growing up in workless households. But Rishi Sunak wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, he doesn't understand. Yeah, that's
he's the richest MP in Parliament, went to an elite private school.
That's such a blanket statement as well, isn't it? Yeah. To say that as long as someone's working, you're fine. Like, okay, can you give a little bit more for the lowest paid employees then? I mean, like, if what's the minimum wage at the moment? It's £10, is it?
Well, look, we've also got one of the lowest statutory sick pay rates in Europe as well. Yeah. And if you compare it, people say to me, "Oh, look, Basit, you're asking for the impossible." A lot of people, you're asking for things that can't be done. But mate, Finland banned private schools. Got the lowest attainment gap in Europe when it comes to richest and poorest students. Other countries across, you look at the Nordic countries, incredibly small gaps between, rich and poor. I mean, there's still gaps, it's sizable, but not as the extent of inequality in the UK is huge.
It's a lot bigger, yeah.
And people just take it for given. They just think, you know what, this is just how it is. And when I say inequality, I don't want to come across in a geeky political way that, it's just inequality, like an abstract idea. That inequality has real life impacts for people. People die younger because of it. You're more likely to end up with certain diseases living in a, economically deprived area than you are in a rich area. We've got one of the highest air pollution death rates in the east of England in Luton.
Yeah.
All of this isn't just some ideas you get in books. It has a real life impact on people. Whether it's, the chances they get to go to university, whether it's healthcare, whether it's how much money they make, all of this impacts it. And it's all interconnected.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, it's one of the things, like, if you're somebody that has a bit of money, you can pay for a gym membership, for instance. Something as simple as that. You can easily afford gym membership where you can start to take care of yourself. You end up in an environment where you're more aware of healthcare, right? Not to say that people that don't have money aren't aware, but it's like, if you're not afforded the access into these places, then you don't have as much of a chance. It's kind of like, in a way, I was thinking about this today about like watching the World Cup, right? The World Cup's on at the moment, obviously, and there's a lot of people who won't be able to pay for the TV license, to go and watch the games. Now, for me, growing up, the World Cup is like such a big thing as a kid. Do you know what I mean? It's a moment of joy. It's a moment of inspiration. Like, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of footballers that I've watched, and I've been inspired by their story of where they started and then what they've done. Yeah, that their stories have fueled me.
But you know what? That's a perfect example of what happens when you give, working class kids an opportunity.
Yeah.
And you look at the diversity of the England football team and the national success story it's been.
Yeah.
And then you look at what Eton's produced.
Exactly. I mean, like, bro, just on for, to give some relevance, I love your stats, but I think sometimes what I would like to see with you, we probably should have talked about this off camera, but let's just talk about it on camera anyway. What I'd really like to see from you is to, like, get some of the people, talk to them, get them out there, show their faces. Do you know what I mean? If I know what you're saying is some people feel ashamed. I'm not ashamed, firstly. So I'll tell you this, I'll tell the world this. I grew up in a working class house where my mum had to work sometimes 2 to 3 jobs and still couldn't make ends meet. Still couldn't. We struggled all the time. My mum would go sometimes days without dinner. She would make sure we had food. But then even then, we weren't getting the best food. We was just getting whatever she could afford, but she made sure we was fed. But, like, it wasn't easy growing up. It was pretty damn hard, constantly in debt. And then as I grew up and I left school, I gained them same problems my mum had, and I was in debt permanently, and I'm still struggling now. Like, life has not got any easier ever since, especially with like just the constant years of Tory government. It's not made my life any easier at all. And just think if you would have given me a little bit more. You know, look at what I'm doing now, man. Like, I've got kids that message me and tell me that, like, because of what I've done, they've had a teacher or someone that's called them stupid, and now they're not listening to them anymore because of what I'm doing. That's a physical change. That's something that's actually happened, and that kid might go on and do something great with their life now. Now, if you gave me a little bit more of a launch pad, like, what the hell could happen? What do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much more that can come.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, when I was at the Metro, I ran a national campaign on holiday hunger, and that's what journalism should be about. Is mainly because now I'm working political journalism, but giving a platform and a voice to those young people and families that are struggling, whether it's with poverty, health inequality, life stories, human stories that show what these people are going through. So that's what I've always tried to do. And you're right, what it should be about is centering the voices of the most marginalised and the voices of the most impacted. But the problem is, in the UK at the moment, there's a brilliant book called The Social Distance Between Us. Like, it's like we're living two parallel lives. Like, you've got politicians like Sunak who've never experienced poverty. They'll come up with blanket statements like just work harder, or just getting jobs. And then you've got a parallel world outside of Westminster in which people are really struggling to make ends meet.
People are dying, bro.
And I genuinely think if you had more, and if there's one message I'd love for people to take away from our conversation here, is that every single one of you has something special and important to offer. Don't ever write yourself off. And that's what happens in working class communities and communities who are underrepresented. People think that's not for me, or I can't see myself doing that. My dad worked in a factory. I couldn't see myself become a journalist. If you asked me what I wanted to be at 16, I hadn't a clue. But if you all get involved, only through your collective endeavour, only through your grit and determination, are we going to achieve that change. Don't let anyone tell you that change isn't possible. Or, this isn't going to happen. It just takes more people to believe in themselves and to come together and see the common kind of issues that they face that requires their collective action to bring about that change.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, I mean, one of the things I try to do is I try to block out any outside voices that I have in my life, in terms of, like, if I'm trying to focus on a particular goal. Perfect, actually, example. So today, this always happens to me no matter what. I'm like doomed to give, like, whenever I give an idea to someone, this is the instantaneous reaction, right? They're always just like, that's stupid. Instantaneously. They don't even really think about the idea. They just straight away say it's stupid. They laugh at me, they mock me about it. And do you know what? If I keep my nose to the grindstone on that idea turns into something amazing. Like, this is one of them. When I first told my wife that I was going to be Deadpool, she laughed at me a little bit. She was like, "Are you joking?" I was like, "No, I believe that there's something there."
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know what it was going to become, but I knew that there was something there. And if I paid attention, it's not like she wasn't, like, being supportive. As soon as she had her little laugh about it, she's been incredibly supportive ever since. But without her doing that, it might have been harder for me to do this idea. And like, now, this is what I do. I have an idea and I just flip and run with it, man. I don't care anymore. I don't care how ludicrous it sounds. Like, literally the other day, I was talking to somebody fairly important, actually, as well. And I was talking to them about my idea for a chicken challenge, right? This is my favourite idea I've ever come up with, right? So I've said this so many times. Sorry to any listeners that have heard this repetitively. I'm only going to say it one more time because Basit obviously hasn't heard about it. So I'm going to tell him. So the Luton Chicken Challenge, right, is to do with Chicken George being gone. Yeah? I love Chicken George.
Best chicken shop in England, apparently.
Hands down, bro. It's the best. Without a doubt. They made the best chicken without a doubt. It was so good, man. But they left Luton. They left our town, yeah? It is what it is. I'm not going to get into the whys and why nots, and I'm not going to say whether I'm happy or sad about it. I'm sad he's gone, but I'm not going to say, like, I'm angry about it or anything, or I'm happy he's gone. None of that. It's just he's gone. Whatever. So my idea is Luton loves chicken, man. We always have done. We always will do. Do you remember when there was a big, like, thing when everywhere ran out of chicken?
Yeah.
Do you remember that a few years ago? And it was like almost like the town was this close to
Nando's ran out of chicken. I went in there.
Yeah, Nando's ran out of chicken. KFC ran out of chicken. Sam's, Chicken George, everywhere had no chicken. And literally, like, I remember being in a pub and someone was like, yeah, I fancy a chicken burger. And everyone was like, oh no. Do you know what I mean? Like it was about to turn into a fight. Like, but yeah, we love our chicken. So my plan is I'm going to host the annual Luton's Deadpool Chicken Challenge, yeah? It's going to be like a MasterChef style event, right, of judging. Not like the actual show, just the judging part, right? I'm going to have a panel of judges. I'm going to set a table outside the town hall. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this. I'm probably just going to do it anyway. I'm probably just going to do it anyway. And I'll deal, do you know what? I've always been told, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. And I believe in that. I believe in that. I believe in that. I'll say sorry, yeah? And I'll say please afterwards. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. Because I think that it's something that will add a lot of benefit to not just our town, but like to people, like just make it a bit fun. Do you know what I mean? Give another additional fun thing for the town. So anyway, I'm going to be looking at dishes based on, number one, like healthy aspects. I'm not going to try and promote bad food, yeah? Like, you know, poor quality chicken. I'm not promoting that,
No,
yeah?
you don't want to do that.
No way, not a chance, man. Like, because I believe that we deserve better than that, firstly, yeah? Because for some people, for me growing up, yeah, when my mum would come home and be like, I just got us a takeaway, yeah? Do you know how excited I used to get? Because that wasn't a normal thing. Wasn't a normal thing. It was just like, man, I've got chicken and chips. Only cost £8, man. She comes back in with full bag of chicken and chips. I know it don't cost £8 no more, yeah?
Back then, it's £1.60 for a piece of chicken and chips.
Oh my God, right? You could literally feed an entire family for less than a tenner, man.
Yeah.
And so it was a really big deal. And it's not like we were eating chicken and chips every day. And I'm not trying to promote eating fat foods all the time, yeah? But my gosh, every once in a while, that could be the difference between a kid having a regular night and a kid being like, man, I've just had a wonderful time. I've just made a memory of and I know it's like built around food, and like maybe that's because that's what food is. It's like, for me, I hold it in such high esteem. Food should be considered a place of building memories. Like if you're eating bad food,
it's what brings people together.
People together, and then it's like, you know, do you want to grow up and think about, like, if you think about your mum's cooking, yeah? Is your mum a good cook?
Yeah,
your mum's a good cook. So, like, see, I even saw the smile because you thought about her food, didn't it?
Yeah, I did.
You went into a place where you was eating a meal with her, yeah? And that's beautiful, Basit. I love that, man. I want people to have that in their moments. And, like, that's why I want to do this Luton Chicken Challenge, because there's some places in Luton that have so much heart. Like, and, you know, I've got some places that I really like. I will not pick favorites and, like, you know, I'm not going to say, well, I like this place, so I'm going to vote for this person, yeah? I'm going to judge it on the day, obviously, but I want to promote everyone that comes to it. Just like, there'll be a winner at the end. I'll crown someone with an actual crown, and you'll be known as the king of chicken in Luton for 1 year.
So whoever makes the best chicken wins this.
Yeah, and it can be any kind of chicken, yeah? It doesn't have to be on the bone, like fried.
That'll get people excited.
It can be peri-peri, it can be a burger, it can be curry. I've already got a few restaurants that are really, really interested, right? And I've said to them, literally, bring me your best portion of whatever you want, and it will be judged based on that. Not you know, I'm not going to have a curry challenge. I'm not going to have a fried chicken challenge. It's just bring me your best, yeah? And if you have the best, you will win, and then you will take the prize. I'm going to make it so that there's an entry fee for each one as well, because obviously these people are going to be getting a lot of publicity from this. So it's rightly so, they should kind of pay for it, but I'm not going to make nothing from it. All of the money is going to go straight to Keach. So this thing that I'm going to create is going to be beautiful. It's going to do so much good, and it's going to be so fun. And it's going to be a yearly thing. People can look forward to it. Hopefully, you know, in 5 years' time, I might have a crowd full of people where I need to rent a venue for it. Do you know what I mean?
Why not? No, I think it's a brilliant idea, especially if you're doing it for good cause.
Yeah, but I mean, like, why I say about this is because when I floated this idea to a certain person, they told me it was a terrible idea.
I think in history, mate, there's lots of ideas that people have dismissed as terrible at the time. Rewind 100 years, people would have said, a national health service, free at the point of use, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. Here we are, people being looked after. Like, you can literally, I mean, I don't know if this is a benefit to the system or not, but you could literally come from another country and go straight into a hospital with no NHS number at all.
I wouldn't be put off if people laugh at your ideas. Some of the best ideas in the world people have laughed at initially.
Yeah. And then magic stuff has happened from it. I mean, like, you know, I just tried to remember this, yeah, that so far I have been mocked for every idea. And so far, I've done pretty damn well out of it.
There you go.
Because the ones that, do you know what? When I was a kid, I used to have the same thing. I'd have these mad ideas, yeah. And I'd come to people and say, "What do you think of this?" And they'd just dismiss it. So I wouldn't go with it. And then I got to a certain age, and I was like, "No, I'm done listening to people. I'm actually done listening."
It reminds me of Dragon's Den when people used to go on there with a brilliant business idea, and the judges would be like, "No, this is crap."
Yeah.
And then the person becomes a millionaire.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I know. And like, how can you tell me that you are the arbiter of truth? Like, no, sorry, man. Like, there is no way. There is no way that you can know whether something's going to be good or not. Like, I was listening to a podcast the other day with this guy, Stephen Pressfield. He wrote a book called The War of Art, right? And it's a brilliant, brilliant book. But in it, he talks about the struggle to sort of like project yourself into the future. And it's such a stupid thing to project yourself into the future, really. Like, if you really think about it, like, I mean, take yourself 5 years ago before, yeah? Did you really think you'd be sat here with me right now?
No.
Not only that, but what you're doing in your life. No. Would you have thought that? No. Even a year ago, man. Like, it's just, it changes so much because every now and then you get an idea and you run with it and it changes your life, right? And because
but I think people get comfortable. Like, look, I'll be honest, when I was at uni, so many of us had these brilliant ideas to make a difference in the world. I'm not taking pops to anyone, but what happens is usually people want a certain lifestyle. And they begin to compromise on their values and their dreams for security.
Well, can we talk about that actually, lifestyle, right? Yeah. Because I am pretty happy with, like, I'm not a flashy person at all. I don't have a fancy watch. I don't. No, but do you know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, everybody has their likes and dislikes. Yeah. I just don't have a taste for like expensive things. I just never have done. Like, I'm not impressed by it, and I don't belittle people for it either. If you want to get yourself a Ferrari, you crack on, mate. Yeah, but man, I'm happy driving a Corsa. Do you know what I mean?
I drive a Corsa.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I've got beat up Zafira that I drive around. It's terrible, man. But you know, it does the job. Like, and I'm not bothered about that. I'm not. And for me, I think that I feel like this is an unpopular opinion in a way, because when I've had conversations with people who are super flashy, I'm like, dude, like, if you literally like took like 15% of what you just spent on that and you gave it to a charity, that would sort that charity out for like a month, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, but there's this charity that I'm sort of currently working with in Gambia. I'm actually going to give him a shout out because he's a big fan of mine. Yeah, this guy. His name's Boubacar. Big up, Boubacar. I love you, man. You're a great guy. You're doing excellent work, and I love you for it. He's going around building boreholes into the ground, yeah, where they then can draw water out of wells, right? They're literally making wells all over the place. Doing this entirely off his own back. Looks after a bunch of kids as well, and also he's helping widows. Sorry, he's helping widows of husbands that have died and stuff, you know, and they don't have much education, can't feed their children, they're literally starving, and he helps them. He's such an amazing guy. If you took £20 and you sent that to Boubacar, he'll be able to feed people with that, man. Do you know what I mean? Like there's real tangible stuff that you can do with money. And like, when I see people like, you know, desperate to buy the new thing or whatever, I'm kind of like, yeah, but you know, I get it. I do get it, but it's a really hard one. Like,
do you know what I think that is? I think because, well, there's lots of reasons why that is. Look, some people want status symbols, right? Even people who don't have the money will put themselves in debt to get something flashy, right? So I'll see people driving a car that they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
They got themselves into debt for just because they want a status symbol.
Yeah, really.
But the other reason is I feel like, and people have written about this. Owen Jones wrote this in his book, Chavs, as well.
Oh, yeah.
That sense of community still exists, but I don't believe to the same extent. And what's happened is this, and it's linked to the economic system, right? This individualistic, hyper-individualistic lifestyle where it's all about me, I. And I can't remember which philosopher it said, but he said so many of the world's problems can be have come about because of that me, I, selfish attitude. I mean, look at it. And he pointed to the camera on the front of his phone.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, look at that. What does that symbolize? You know, the selfie culture. It's all about...
It's true.
It's all about being an individual, right? And I'm not saying everyone thinks like this, but we have this culture in our economy where it's all about you as an individual succeeding and that's all that matters.
But then there's no bigger picture.
There's no bigger picture.
Yeah, I know,
and
right?
That sense of community, you know, a lot of mining towns had that sense of community. The community was centered around the mines, and you had a sense of social solidarity. There's a brilliant book called Boiling Alone, being written by Robert Putnam, about that decline of civic society institutions, people coming together from different backgrounds. And now it's all about, you know, I'll be honest, growing up, I remember I used to see a lot more of my relatives and friends, but now when people get older, they get into work, and it's all about, you know, some struggling to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them for that, but you see less of people as you get
Yeah,
older.
I know. And it used to be like, I feel the exact same way. I remember growing up in Luton, and I was at a function of some sorts all the time, seeing loads of people, and like we was always mixing. I mean, where we are right now is kind of like proof of that decline. You know, the pub industry was a place where it wasn't, you know, obviously you say what you want about pubs. Obviously people say, some people don't like alcohol, some people don't like the atmosphere in pubs sometimes. For me, growing up in pubs and going to pubs, like my mum would take me, and like, well, I'll go back in the back garden and I'll play with all my friends. It was some of the best times of my life, man. Some of the best times of my life, because like that's what I kind of hope. Right, okay. Just quickly again. So, sorry everybody, I've just realised, I've just checked the phone and it turned off for some reason. You are the only person this happens to.
I don't know, maybe I'm cursed on your...
We've missed out something. I don't know what we've missed out. I'm going to look when I get home and see what's happened. Oh, for God's sakes, I'm so sorry.
I think we recorded 80% of it.
We've recorded at least 80% of it, but you've said so many beautiful things, and whatever people have missed, I'll be sure to add into my little bit that I write in. Look, man, I'm sure you'll be on again anyway. So I hope you will be.
Give me an invite whenever.
Oh, all the time, my hero. All right, again, sorry if I've missed anything. Basit Mahmood, journalist, bad man, Lutonian. Can you just say your socials again, just in case we missed it?
Social media. So my Twitter is Basit Mahmood 91. My Facebook is just my name, and my email is Basit, so basit.a.mahmood, so M for mother, OOD@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Basit, and I'm so sorry
if you ever
if
want
I
to get into
messed up.
journalism or politics, give me a shout.
Yes, Basit's your man. This guy is the guy that we all need to be following. Trust me. Please, just anybody that's interested in journalism, reach out to him and he'll be able to point you in the right direction. Thank you very much for listening, Luton. I love you. Thank you, Basit.
Cheers, man.
Oh, mate, I'm so sorry.
Because if we started at 5,
I checked